And welcome back to Capitol Tonight. Well, to the political junkies among us, the six-person race for the Attorney General's office is providing one of the most interesting storylines of this election season. But a Quinnipiac poll that was released yesterday finds that most New Yorkers actually have no idea who they'd like to replace Andrew Cuomo, or even who the candidates are, for that matter. And this is something that the candidates themselves are no doubt working overtime to change. My next guest is one of 5 Democrats who is running in a fierce primary for the chance to take on Republican Dan Donovan in the general election. Kathleen Rice is the Nassau County District Attorney, and she is joining us this evening from New York City. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Liz.
What did you make of that poll? I mean, you have 83% of New Yorkers who say, in a general sort of question, who are you going to support for AG, and they have no idea. And when given the list of candidates, you top the list, but only at 11%.
You know, I think it's a function of the time. It's the summertime. People are otherwise engaged. Their children are out of school. A lot of people go on vacation. But I have no doubt that come the end of the summer and after Labor Day, when this race really heats up, that people are going to be able to have the information that they need to make the right choice.
You know, there have been, this despite the fact that there's been sort of this exhaustive lineup of candidate forums and debates, some of which you did participate in, some of which you did not. Did that inform your decision not to participate, that you think that people are just not paying attention?
No, I try to attend every debate and forum that we have. We've had many of them, but I also have a day job that requires me to be elsewhere at times, and that really is the only reason why I was unable to be with the other candidates at those forums. But we've met many times together and discussed the issues at length.
And you're actually frequently the target of a lot of the barbs from these other gentlemen. It's 4 guys and you. And they're, yes, because you have this front-runner status to the degree that anyone is actually paying attention and anyone has front-runner status, you are the target of a lot of the attacks. And the most recent one is about your voting record, which you said actually, an interesting defense, might endear you to some people who are maybe disaffected.
Well, you know, I have stated very openly that not voting when I was younger was a mistake that I deeply regret. And I think my path to being a more involved, active voter is one that many people share. I have spent 19 years fighting for social justice in a system that sometimes I didn't see the connection to the political world and how it could help achieve social justice. And so I think the path that I have taken is one that many people can relate to, and I spend a lot of time now encouraging people of all ages, especially young people, to get involved and to have their voice be heard. Now, as to what you said before, you know, I just have to say that I grew up with 4 older brothers, so I think I'm able to handle my 4 opponents pretty well.
Well, political circles are very much male-dominated, so I understand that, certainly, although I have no brothers.
Yes.
But in terms of the voting issue, do you not think, though, that people are saying, for example, some of your opponents and their surrogates say, well, you were living in Pennsylvania, it was a swing state at that time, your vote perhaps could have made a difference, they hit you, you know, at the time, long ago, you were a Republican, at the time you were living in Pennsylvania, you were actually a blank, an independent. I mean, what is the response to that your vote could really have made a difference, and then that you're asking people for their vote when you didn't vote yourself?
Well, I have a perfect voting record from 2002 to the present, and I think that these attacks are not out of the blue. I mean, this is a political season. My opponents are going to take shots at whatever they think might be a weakness of mine. And I think that's in large part due to the fact that they are threatened by my record, by my 19 years of legal advocacy on behalf of victims and consumers and taxpayers. And the fact that my message is resonating with New Yorkers all across this state. This state is broken. The state government is broken. People want to see it fixed. And I believe that at the end of the day, they are going to see me as that vehicle for change.
But when you say that, I know in the past you've spoken about your outsider status and that you cast yourself as a reformer and that you have a record of reform. But do you have a record of reforming government? I mean, how would you be able to reform Albany from this perch of the Attorney General's office, which really is a legal office and not a legislative office per se?
The Attorney General acts as the people's attorney. there isn't a statewide elected official, in my opinion, who is better situated to move the state towards the reform we need in government. I have spent my entire career insisting on accountability in the system, insisting on transparency, reforming the system when there are areas where it can be reformed, and that's exactly what we need right now. Now, I am going to be able to do that because I am not a product of Albany. I'm not a product of Wall Street. And the next Attorney General is going to have to play a big role in both cleaning up Albany and policing Wall Street. And I don't think that you can be an insider in Albany or in Wall Street to achieve those goals.
But when you say that you're not an insider and that you're not of Albany, and I understand having spent your career in Nassau County where you're coming from, but in addition, a big donor to you is this firm Whites and Luxembourg, which of course is the firm that Shelley Silver is of counsel to, the speaker, and they've given you quite a lot of money. I mean, don't you think they're a personal injury firm? Do you not think that you would have a conflict of interest when they've given you $236,000 plus or minus, people connected to that firm? You don't think there would be a conflict of interest there?
Well, the support of Whites and Luxembourg goes back to 2005 when I first ran for DA. They are local constituents of mine, and they've supported me for the past 5 years. Sheldon Silver is very clear in who he's supporting in this race, and that's Richard Brodsky. So I don't see any conflict at all. I have received support from the law firm because of what I've done in Nassau County, the kind of DA that I have been, and I don't see that presenting any conflict going forward.
I wanted also to ask you, the big news that we've had in Albany over the last 24 hours is this report that was conducted by former Chief Judge Judith Kaye on David Patterson regarding the domestic violence incident with his top aide. First, I wanted to ask, if you had been Attorney General, would you have recused yourself and passed it along the way that Attorney General Andrew Cuomo did?
I think Andrew Cuomo did the right thing in asking Judge Kaye to handle this investigation because of the political situation that was going on at the time, and I'm sure that I probably would have done the same thing. But I think that this issue, what we cannot lose sight of in this instance, is the so underreported crime of domestic violence. I have fought on behalf of victims of domestic violence my entire career, and I can tell you that there is no crime that goes more unreported than domestic violence. And until we figure out how to encourage victims of domestic violence to come forward and ensure them that the system is going to work for them, we are going to be having these conversations over and over again.
Well, and to that end, then, this report, and I'm not sure if you've read it,